What's up, crew? Welcome back to Libertalia Game Supply. I tweaked this Horus Lightsworn Bystial Chaos deck list that I posted up for the first time a couple weeks ago. It's quite different now. Basically, the issue that I kept running into was if you don't open a way to get the Horus stuff going, a lot of the times it means you brick pretty hard, and so you have no way of playing the deck at all. So I increased how much of the Horus stuff we're playing. Played 3 of the field spell and went down to 1 of the sarcophagus just because it's very easy to get to the sarcophagus now that we're playing essentially 6 Imseti. And then I also added in a copy of the Canopic Protector. It is a pretty nice card, especially for like a grind game, so if you're going first and you don't open great, but you still have some Horus monsters in this, you can just summon them. Every time your opponent creates a chainable action, you can just summon one of your Horus monsters in your hand or out of your graveyard. So even beyond it being good for like fixing a not great hand if you got to pass on a shit board, once you have gotten everything running, you can just make your regular Giant Trainer play, put everything back in the graveyard, flip your Canopic Protector, and then same deal, you just summon all 4 of them back out, and now you have all their effects when they start trying to remove them. I could absolutely agree with the argument to cut this and make room for maybe like a second Crossout Designator or something else of that nature, just because this deck dies super hard to Droll and Lockbird. It's very draw oriented, and so that's why I tried to fit these hand traps in here. It's just both of these, I mean, they're good hand traps to begin with, but against this deck in particular, they can really screw you up. The Droll is a given. It's a whole lot of drawing in this deck, a whole lot of searching in this deck. The reason Ash Blossom can screw you up is mostly because of your spells. You need these effects to go through, and so this one you can use multiple times, so even if they kill the first one, you got 3 more. This one, though, a lot of times this is the only way you're getting the deck running, and if they Ash it, it's game over essentially, so gotta try to protect it if you can. I trimmed the Lightsworn lineup down quite a bit. I had the Raiden at 3, and then one of the tuner wolf thing, I can't remember, Felice. And then I slowly dwindled away the Raidens down to 2, and then 1, and then 0, and the Felice to 0, just to fit in some other draw stuff, because I really wanted to focus more on this aspect of the deck because it's what makes it pretty good. And then the rest of this are like extenders. So ideally, you're going to get the Horus play going first, especially if you're going first. And you're going to go into that Giant Trainer, draw your 3. At that point, you should have a graveyard full of stuff that you can use as extenders and fodder for banishes for Chaos monsters. And you're just going to try to put a bunch of bodies on board. You can either go for IP to go into the SP, or you're going to go into the Appaloosa. So a 4-link material Appaloosa is very easy to do in this deck, and then it can protect you going for like an OTK on the following turn or whatever. Just really good interrupt card. Another interesting note here is Selene is very usable in this deck because Imseti is a spellcaster as well as the Trick Clown, and the Imseti is always going to be a factor as long as the deck is running the way you need it to, and so it's pretty easy to go into the Selene and then use the Selene effect to summon the Imseti back and then go into like the access code. Then you have a access code with a link 3 to target to make it just a big boy. And the only other change in the extra deck here, well, I trimmed down the Synchro lineup a little bit because I cut out pretty much all the tuners other than Plague Spreader, but I added in that Tornado Dragon because there's not really any back row hate in this outside of like general card removal that can target back row. And so the Tornado Dragon's usually pretty free. It's easy to get your 4s on here with Trick Clown and Wolf, as well as the 2 little Chaos Dragons. And just trying to remove some back row before you throw all your Horus monsters on board to get into your big guys here to go for the W is going to be kind of important. Not always. You can kind of just play through it sometimes. The deck grinds decently well. The only other extra deck monsters in here that I was considering was Barone is good. It's just you're only summoning it off of Plague Spreader and an 8, which isn't that hard to do. But usually if you have an 8, it's because it's going into one of these over here, so you can put it back in there. I also considered to put another number dragon monster for this, just because it's very easy. Like if you get all 4 in the graveyard, you can make the Draglubion to make the number 100, and then you can also make the Hope Harbinger with the spare at level 8s. So the Numeron can be huge. It's like 21k or something, I think, at that point. And then you still have the spell negation effect from Titanic that you can use if you gotta pass the turn for whatever reason. And then I also considered playing some rank 6s. They're both quick effects that this one bounces, this one negates effects and burns. There's just not enough room in here for that, and so I didn't end up putting them in there, and I'm really only playing the 2 level 6 monsters anyway, so like, the odds of you having them both on the field are pretty slim. They usually end up just being link material, and then you're just trying to abuse the effective Druisworm. If you're interested in a more thorough explanation of how the deck runs, even though it's a different version, a lot of it is fairly similar in the previous video, and so I'll link that down below if you want to check that out. There's some combos in there too. This one, I got some replays for you. I gotta say, every time I try to get replays for a video, it is always just the worst experience. As soon as you start winning, people quit, or they're willing to win if they're beating the shit out of you, and it takes forever just to get like a couple usable replays. So even the ones I got weren't super great, but they're in here. You can check them out. If you test this one out, let me know how you like it. Happy deck building. I'll see you guys in the next one. Goodbye.
Take my head apart. It's borderline chaos with a pinch of salt. While the ceremony's about to start, I call you red-handed. I see you in the dark, beside the bonfire. It's warmed by the flame. Feed me distractions while you're tossing me in. If I could, I would get myself out this mess. If I could, I would get myself out this madness. If I could, I would get myself out this mess. If I could, I would get myself out this madness. Beneath all the rubble, and all that runs through my flesh is a spirit.